Hello, everyone. My name is Benjamin Nething, and I'm a grain originator with Deerfield Ag Services in Deerfield, Ohio. We're a grain elevator company. We have a grain equipment division and an agronomy division as well. Today, we wanted to make a video to talk a little bit about grain marketing, what options our company has to offer for our customers, spread a little bit of hopefully positive and helpful business decision making tools. Real quick, some of the things that Deerfield Ag Services offer is we always have our cash bids for all of our elevators for almost a year or more out, available on our website, deerfieldagservices.com. We do offer forward contracting for grain. We offer free target contracts. We also offer a daily text message service that is also free, where every day we will text you what our grain bids are. We've got information about all the dump hours at all of our facilities available on our website or available through text messages. If you have any questions or are interested in doing business with Deerfield, please visit our website, deerfieldagservices.com. Give us a call, 330-584-4715, and you can talk to either Jennifer Pemberton, Cami Click, or myself, Benjamin Nething. We'd love to do business with you. Today with us, we have Dwayne Wilson from the White Commercial Corporation. Dwayne is a grain marketing specialist. He makes his home in Covington, Ohio, with his wife and his 3 children. Dwayne, how are you this afternoon?
I'm good, Ben. How are you doing today?
I'm doing good. Has there been much? It's May 20th today. Is anybody planting corn over in Covington?
Not after about 3 to 4 inches of rain yesterday. Things are pretty quiet today, so we'll see how things go over the Memorial Day weekend here. So
we're always praying for farmers to have good opportunities to get out and get everything planted. Dwayne, we'll jump right into it. And you work in the grain business, and you work with grain elevators. Deerfield is a grain elevation company, a grain service company. What's the viability of grain companies over the last couple of years?
Yeah, some people in not too recent history here has said that maybe that the elevator has become obsolete, and we've just not seen that. With increase in yields and obviously we're in a seasonal industry business, and when it comes harvest fall time, we need the space that is built right now and more. And so, elevators do on a very fundamental primary level provide that surge tank at harvest. And not only that, I mean, it goes beyond that. We need to talk about versatility. We see as individual markets expand and contract, like we've seen this year. Ethanol demand has come and gone a little bit this year. An elevator is an avenue to markets that aren't one individual market, but they maybe can provide service to several different markets. So when you're doing business with the elevator, they can find who needs that grain and get it there. So in some ways they're a funnel and make available different markets to the farmer, whether it be through farm pickup service. And I know Deerfield provides a lot of these different services in transloading, or maybe finding markets that would require containerized grain. And when you can do those kinds of things at your elevator, then that obviously brings markets sometimes not only out of your region, but across great bodies of water, in order that you can get local grain marketed far and wide.
Just a real quick for anybody watching, Dwayne, what is a little bit more about your role? Kind of where do you work? Do you work with farmers? Do you work with grain elevators, or?
Yeah, so I primarily work now with grain elevators. Spent several years as run the day-to-day at our family grain elevator business in Western Ohio. So I am located in Western Ohio, but I work with elevators across kind of the eastern Corn Belt and up into Ontario, Canada. And so everything Indiana and east, northeast, and up into Ontario.
Dwayne, if we could move on to the next question. I want to talk a little bit about potential volatility in the coming months, and I have some charts here that we can pull up if we want to take a peek at those.
Sure. Yeah, tis the season, right? For volatility. Yeah, as you can see here on these charts, that top left chart there is for December futures of 2020. We are, as you said, Ben, we are approaching this season. As you can look at the past, looks like five more years there. You can see from about mid-May through the end of July, maybe mid-July is a better way to put it, that there is quite a bit of volatility in the market that we've seen in the last 5 years. And we don't know whether this year will prove to be that way or not, but history would tell us that this is the season of volatility that we're approaching. Really prices are, a reflection of people's perception, and I want to emphasize that word perception, about how our stocks to use or supply and demand factors are going. And so when we get into this U.S. planning season and weather issues or planning issues, this late spring and midsummer time frame is when we see quite a bit of volatility that will, as you can see from these charts, give you some opportunity before a lot of times we head into a harvest season with price depression.
Dwayne, these orange highlighted areas that we see on each of these charts, can you explain a little bit more about what we're seeing highlighted on these? I mean, we can see here's 2020, 2019, 18, 17. Kind of what's being highlighted on these charts?
Yeah, again, these would be, within those orange shaded areas would be those periods of times of volatility. And so we see that, in looking at last year, take the 2019 planning season, for instance there. So as you get into May of 19, we started having, a lot of moisture that was widespread in the planting season. And the more that happened, the more people were afraid that we weren't going to get corn planted. And so we saw corn prices take off, and we had, almost a full $1 increase in Dees corn futures last year. I think we topped out on the high somewhere about 473 last year, like June 21st, I think, if my memory serves me right. And then as things did get planted, maybe a little bit later, those fears tapered off, and so did price along with that.
And that might be the line that we see here.
That's correct. Yep. So the blue line on each one of those is the December's futures contract for that appropriate year, and then that orange space is where we see those seasons of volatility.
We see risk and volatility being built into a market, and then we see it being taken right back out.
That's right.
Let's move on to next. Let's take a look at this is November soybeans from the last couple of years. What can we pull out of these charts?
Yeah, not a lot different. Soybeans, are this year a little bit, I would say, more potential for volatility in that the stocks to use isn't quite as strong as what corn is this year. And with intended planting acres for both corn and soybeans is fairly high, but soybeans not quite as much as corn. So, we can see again that these seasons of volatility happen in soybeans as well. And really, so what does this mean for the farmer though, right? Is the real question here, is that as I'm approaching this season, I really need to be thinking about capturing these opportunities, because as we can see, especially in corn, but in soybeans as well, that it's really tough to get back to those harvest price opportunities. As the crop gets made or looks like it's getting made, then these prices taper off, and you are fighting to get back to some of the opportunities you had in May, June, and July to get prices locked in. For
everybody watching, again, just to plug our website, we we've got bids for new crop 20 and as far out as new crop 21 in corn and soybeans and wheat. And one of the things that we like to promote to our customers is here are the prices. We'll take contracts, we'll take targets on grain that we maybe even haven't considered yet. It's really easy for us to get locked into the grain that we're looking at, the grain that's in front of us, but we need to be thinking about next year and the year after that, because that's when we want to be planning our businesses for. In that same thought process, Dwayne, I'm going to stop sharing the screen here. Certainly, I know that we have customers that have corn in their bins. In Eastern Ohio, we did have an ethanol plant that's not running anymore down in Three Rivers, down in central Eastern Ohio. Farmer has corn in his bin right now. What do we do?
Yeah, I mean, I'm thinking about that. I'd say you really have, and these, aren't bound by time. This is usually where you sit, is that as long as you have space and money, you can do nothing and sit on it and wait and see if something else happens. We are looking at quite, a pretty good crop getting planted. That has implications on prices now and opportunities now. So I'd encourage you to think about just doing nothing at this point and waiting to see if it gets better. The other option is to sell your grain or put in targets for what you will sell your grain for old crop. And one thing I would throw in there is if you're maybe reluctant to sell to get that corn sold, is that you could maybe look at a minimum price contract where you could go ahead and get it sold and still take some opportunity. Like you might take it out against a July futures contract, which would give you time clear through the third week of June, give you time during this period of volatility to maybe capture some more higher prices during the volatility. But really, those are your options. And I know that we've seen quite a reduction in price since last fall, and certainly since last summer. But one more thing I'll say about old crop corn is we need, and I encourage farmers to do this, to become a very future-oriented farmer and work in the front side of their marketing program instead of the back side. And because right now it's either going to be money needs that's going to force you. Certainly price is not enticing you, but that may or may not be fixed. So those are just a couple of my thoughts on what you could do with old crop right now.
So one of the things that we're looking at with our farms right now is we've got corn in the bins and we've got corn that's going into the ground. What are some things that we've talked about, the corn that's in the bin? What are some things that we can think about for our corn and our soybeans that are going into the ground? Maybe not today, but hopefully once we get some dry weather.
Yeah, a couple of things, and I'll make this point again. Stay in front of your grain, and what I mean by that, and stay in front of your marketing program. And what I mean by that is make a plan, get an idea about what your costs are. More than an idea, know what your costs are, and develop a plan that says, hey, I want to have so much sold at this point in the year, and so on and so forth. So it really helps take the emotion out of it. I know after years of working with farmers, for all of us, it's human nature that decision making is hard, especially when you have so much blood, sweat, and tears poured into a crop. And prices maybe aren't as exciting as you would like them to be. It's really hard to pull the trigger. But if you know your bottom line and you have some targets entered, so have that plan that will provide some targets for you, so that when you get there, you're pulling the trigger on getting some of the crops sold. And the second part of this is you have to be willing to take action. You can do all the planning in the world that you want, and hopefully, take some of the emotion out of it. But for corn and soybeans, get in front of your marketing program, and when you hit some of those goal areas, pull the trigger and take some action.
I know that we've used the word target a few times, Dwayne. You just want to give a brief example of what a target is and how it works?
Sure. So, yeah, you can work with your local elevator with Deerfield, and if you know that you need 385 for corn this fall in order to make a 5% return on investment, and you think that's a good number, then you can call into Deerfield and say, I'd like to put in a target order for 385 cash. And then they will put an order in that's working 17 and a half hours a day for you. And one thing I would say about that is there is quite a few of those orders that are filled when most of us are in bed and or taking it easy and not necessarily have our eyes directly on what the market's doing. And so that working order is out there for you 17 and a half hours a day. And when it hits that price point, then it'll fill. And then Deerfield can write you a cash contract for that amount.
What's something like that cost, Dwayne?
That is absolutely free. Yes, just the price we like.
It's $3.99.
Yep, free 99. Like it.
So we've seen a lot of volatility this year with prices so far from January to get us through to May 20th today. What do I do if I call Deerfield, I put in a target, September 15th, my crop is starting to mature and my price hasn't filled?
Let me back you up, Ben, just a little bit. Let's say, as a producer, we're listening to this and we end up putting in some targets and it's July 1st and my target hasn't hit. And in particular, I want to back us up to, the idea of what we were seeing in those seasonality charts is that if I put in a target and maybe it's too high, it's time to reevaluate. So I would say even before you get to September 1st, I would say July 1st, I'm looking at what orders I have working. And if the market doesn't look like the market's going to get there, then readjust those orders or put in more orders for lower prices in order that I might get a certain percentage of my crop sold. I'm gonna push that. I know I'm probably more aggressive than most people would be, but if you're taking out 85% coverage with crop insurance, you should feel pretty well motivated to sell up closer to some of those levels. Frankly, not a lot of people do that, I don't think. But if it's July 1st and I'm sitting on 20% of my crop sold, then I'm going to think real hard about what I'm going to do over the next couple of weeks. But I do want to get back to your question. If it's September 1st and that target hasn't filled and it doesn't, I'm assuming doesn't look like it's going to get filled, we're nowhere in the vicinity. What I would encourage people to do is turn around and turn that into a 2021 target. At that point, you don't want to let it sit there and end up having a target hit in the third week of October and you're done harvesting corn. Although if there's carry in the market, you can roll that out to next year, typically. So, but those would be some of my thoughts is at that point, if it hasn't hit, go ahead and turn that into the next crop and again, stay in front of your crop, get some grain sold in the cash, I guess.
One of the things I'll add to that, Dwayne, is some of my responsibilities as a grain originator are taking targets, filling targets, monitoring our open orders with White Commercial, our futures broker. Certainly, one of the things that we do for free is roll them out, like you had mentioned, roll them out into the next year. Every month at the beginning of the month, we send out a paper copy, just a sheet to remind all of our customers.
Great.
The contracts that you have open. Here are the targets that you have open. We want to be very forward and direct with our customers about here's what we have, here's what's going on, because we want to when we get opportunities to lock in cash prices that our customers have said that they want, we want to lock them in and we want to do it as quickly and efficiently as possible.
That's great. Yeah.
It's our favorite way to buy grain. Absolutely.
It goes back, and I didn't mention earlier, you had asked about, how elevators are doing, and I talked about, their versatility, and certainly at at the core of what they should be doing is providing excellent customer service, not only to get you in and out quick when you're dumping grain, but also servicing you, just as you have mentioned there, Ben, that if you're putting targets in with me, that's not a passive thing for us, right? That's a proactive thing, and we want to help you stay in front of that. So I appreciate you that you're sending out monthly statements. I think that's excellent customer service, and can encourage you to do that.
We're actively looking at that list every single day.
Yep.
We're very engaged in where our customers want to lock in prices.
Right.
Along with this, Dwayne, again, to plug our website, we do have a tool available on DeerfieldAgServices.com under the grain tab, where zero cost, 24/7. If somebody wants to come in and enter a target order, it generates the order and it sends it to our desk. Those targets aren't confirmed until you are contacted by one of the grain originators. Either myself or Cami usually will reach out and confirm the bushels and the price and the delivery point. But it's available on our website 24/7. So if at midnight you're thinking about marketing and you decide you want to do something right now that'll help you sleep better, our website's there, because I can't promise that I'll answer my phone at midnight. Some nights I might, but I can't promise that I'll do it every night. Finally, Dwayne, it's been pretty easy to be pretty dismal about commodities in the recent past. I mean, it's starting to feel like maybe a little bit of wet spring. Prices have been extremely difficult this spring. What are some things that you've seen that have helped you stay positive, or helped your grain elevator customers or your farmer friends stay positive?
Sure. I would echo some thoughts I heard earlier this week, that when everything seems to be going in a direction. One thing I've learned in agriculture, when everything seems to be pointed in a direction, something else happens that redirects things. And this is a season for that. I feel positive that, year in and year out, we see again and again opportunities for locking in some good prices in these next few months. Where it really hurts me is when we get into August and September and people are unsold on grain. And again, I want to acknowledge challenges that are out there, and encourage you to do this is a saying I came up with a long time ago. And my wife, I think sometimes she rolls her eyes when she hears me say it, but do the next right small thing, and it'll lead in the large right direction. And so, just take some of that. Don't be paralyzed by the fear. That's another thing. Don't be paralyzed by the fear. We're in a pretty unique situation to be able to take a seed, plant it in the ground, and watch it be fruitful. I mean, how cool is that we get to be a part of that, what I would call just a miracle. Stay resolved and with it, but capture the opportunities when they show themselves. And so, be forward thinking, get in front of it. And I know we've got some incredible farmers in this country. When we need grain, you guys produce. There's no doubt. And we're doing that right now. Encourage you to keep doing those great farming practices that you do to grow. There's nothing like yield to bring cash into our bank account. But the other part of that is taking some time to do the marketing side of things. And you can do it. Yep.
Well, Dwayne, that I've run out of questions on my sheet. I think that's everything I've got. Thank you so much for your time today. We appreciate you. Hope to see you at Deerfield again real soon.
Okay, appreciate all you're doing, and glad to help. So thank you, Ben.